Squiz Kids acknowledges the traditional owners of the lands on which we podcast, the Turrbal and Gadigal people.
Squiz Kids!
It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.
Hello and welcome to Squiz Kids Today, your fresh take on what's happening in the world around you. I'm Bryce Corbett. It's Thursday, March 27. In Squiz Kids Today, Salmon stoush in Tassie. Socceroos revive World Cup hopes. Tackling ADHD misinfo, and Toy Story has a birthday. That's what's making news, kids style.
The Lowdown.
Salmon. Easily my favourite fish to eat. Whether it's grilled, air-fried, oven-baked or raw in sushi, it's just the yummiest. And it's really good for you too. But have you ever stopped to think where the salmon you eat comes from? I mean, from the sea, obviously, because it's a fish, duh. But lots of the salmon we eat comes from salmon farms, which are great big, netted off areas in the sea where the fish are grown until they're big enough to be eaten. And it just so happens that there are a bunch of salmon farms off the west coast of Tasmania. And right now, they're at the centre of a political stoush, which is a fancy way of saying they're at the centre of a fight, in this case, between politicians and people opposed to salmon farming. You see, there's a fish called the Maugean skate, a strange, flat, stingray-like native fish that lives in Macquarie Harbour in Tassie, where a bunch of salmon farms have also been set up. And the skate is an endangered species, and environmentalists say the salmon farms are making the skate even more endangered. But the salmon farms not only supply a lot of the salmon that we love to eat, but they also provide a lot of jobs to people in Tasmania. And people need jobs. It's a classic example of needing to balance the impact that human activity and behaviour has on the environment with the creatures that call it home.
Spin the globe.
Each day we give the world globe a spin and find a news story from wherever it stops. And today we've landed in China, where the Socceroos have taken one step closer to playing in the World Cup after beating China 2-0 in a qualifying game on Tuesday night. Fresh from their victory over Indonesia, the boys in green and gold turned in a strong performance against host side China in front of a record crowd, comfortably beating the national Chinese soccer team. It means the Aussies are now in second place behind Japan in their qualifying pool, 3 points ahead of Saudi Arabia and 4 clear of Indonesia. One more win should mean the Socceroos have a guaranteed place in the 2026 World Cup, which is going to be held in the United States, Mexico and Canada. Australia next hosts Japan in Perth in June, before the Socceroos face off Saudi Arabia to end this stage of the qualifying. Come on, Aussies, you've got this.
Pop Culture Corner.
If you were to look at Buzz Lightyear and Woody and all of their Toy Story friends, would you believe me if I was to tell you that they're all 30 years old? Well, that's to say, the Toy Story movie series is 30 years old, with Pixar Studios this week releasing social media posts to mark 30 years since the first Toy Story movie and the first time that Buzz dreamed of going to infinity and beyond. And how have the creators of the Toy Box movie phenomenon decided to celebrate this 30th anniversary? Why, by starting work on the next Toy Story film. Toy Story 5, my friends, is already in production and due for release next year, because you just can't seem to keep those toys in their toy box.
News hounds.
Every Thursday, Squizzy the News Hound sticks his snout into Squiz Kids HQ to report back on fishy things he's sniffed out on the internet. And this week, he's worried about a lot of fake health advice being handed out by influencers on TikTok. It follows a study by the University of British Columbia in Canada, which analysed health advice about ADHD being published by influencers on TikTok. and finding that at least half of the information was scientifically wrong. And this is a huge problem on social media. Lots of people offering lots of health advice despite not being doctors or properly qualified health professionals. It's why, whenever we're online, we always have to do as Squizzy tells us, and that is to stop, think, and check whenever we come across a piece of content, no matter who it's made by, and especially content that's posted to social media. Because a lot of the stuff that's published there is just not true. And of course, it's another reason to sign our government petition to make digital literacy education a part of every Aussie kid's schooling. Because without government funding, Squizzy may have to hang up his magnifying glass. And no one, especially me, wants that. The link to the petition is in today's episode notes and also on the Squiz Kids website. Thank you in advance.
Time for the quiz.
This is the part of the podcast where you get to test how well you've been listening. Question number 1. Which country did the Socceroos beat on Tuesday night to keep their World Cup dreams alive? That's right, they beat China. Question number 2. Name the 3 countries where the 2026 Football World Cup will be held. That's right, they're going to be held in the United States, Mexico, and Canada. Well done if you got all 3 of those. Question number 3. What birthday is Woody, Buzz, Jessie, and Bullseye from Toy Story celebrating this year? Yes, that's right, Toy Story is celebrating its 30th birthday.
Shout-outs.
It's Thursday, March 27. Today is World Theatre Day. Have you seen a piece of live theatre with actors on a stage? Or maybe you've been in a play or a musical yourself? Well, today's the day to celebrate how important theatre is as an art form. Today is also a special day for these Squiz Kids celebrating a birthday today. Eliana and Mia from the Gold Coast, Manny from Walker Vale, Henry from Mount Riverview, Everett from Wellington Point, Minnie from Fitzroy North, Eleanor from Kew, Oliver from Ormiston, Sergio from Maroubra, and Serena and Maisie from St Clair. And a belated birthday shout-out goes to Aman from St Clair. And classroom shout-outs today go to Class 5H with Mrs Mooney at Christian College in Geelong, Class Honey 4 and Smile 3 with Miss Hanson and Miss Struthers at Banks Public School in St Clair, Class 3SH with Mrs Hickey and Class 3KP with Ms Kate at North Ainslie Primary School in Canberra, and Class 3W with Miss Walker at Viewbank Primary School. Don't forget, if you've got a birthday coming up and you want a shout out, or if you're after a classroom shout out, drop us a line at squizkids@thesquiz.com.au or fill out the form on our website. Well, that's all we have time for. Thanks for listening to Squiz Kids today. We'll be back again tomorrow with the Kids vs Adults Weekly News Quiz, your chance to prove who's been paying the most attention to the week that just was. In the meantime, get out there and have yourselves a most excellent day. Over and out.